welcome to this episode. Thank you for watching. I'm Jayson Bates, owner of Electrum Financial, where a mortgage is not just a flip of the coin. So if you're looking to purchase or refinance in the state of Arizona, certainly would love the opportunity to earn your business. Don't forget to hit that notification bell for future YouTube videos. Watching us on Roku or on Amazon Fire, please write a review of the channel. Appreciate that support. Share with your friends and family as they may find this information valuable. All right, let's jump right into this. I want to get right into it here and talk to you about this article that I saw here from Redfin that says 22% of Americans are delaying getting into the real estate market, either selling or buying a home because of the presidential election. So I want to dive into this article here and kind of go through some of the highlights that I highlighted from this article. It says here, 22% of home buyers and sellers said the presidential election is impacting their plans to buy or sell a home, according to an August Redfin survey of more than 1,400 U.S. residents. Pretty small survey, in my opinion, small survey, who plan to buy, sell a home in the next 12 months. That's down 32% in November 2019 per a similar Redfin survey. Not sure too many people were thinking about the election back last year in November, but okay. The drop from last year is likely due to the pandemic, which seems to be outweighing the election as a factor of home buyers and sellers. I would agree with that. I think more people are concerned about the pandemic than they are the election. But it does say here, 65% of homeowners and sellers said the upcoming presidential election isn't impacting their plans, up from 60% in November. Pretty typical. I think a lot of people don't think that the presidential candidate can have an impact on future housing, but it can. It very much can, and we'll just demonstrate that here in a second. Now, it does say here in the bottom, indeed, 3/4 of buyers and half of sellers said the coronavirus pandemic is impacting their plans this year. 43% of buyers said they're planning to buy a home later than they originally planned because of the pandemic, and 34% said they're buying a home sooner than they originally planned. Of sellers, 21% said the pandemic is delaying their selling plans, 19% said it's accelerating their selling plans, and 10% said they decided not to sell their home. Now, I think that 10% is more of a issue about, hey, am I on furlough? Am I going to have a job? Am I in forbearance? It doesn't say why they're not planning on selling. The article doesn't go into that kind of detail, which I think is a little misleading here. So I don't think it's just because of the pandemic I've decided not to sell. Maybe, could be, but I think there's some underlying issues in there as well that they're really not exploring. So I want to share with you another article that I have here that is from the Pro Builder website. This is an article that is about builders and their sentiment toward housing and some of their take on the presidential election, how they feel it may affect their business. So this is where some people think, whatever, whoever's the president, whatever, housing is going to be housing, not going to make a difference. Oh, contraire, it can make a big difference. And so I want to dive into this article here too as well, because I think this plays on the psyche here a little bit of this. So let's dive into it. For home buyers, it comes down to confidence in the job market and hiring prospects, said Brad Hunter, president of Housing Market Analysis, Hunter Housing Economics in West Palm Beach, Florida. For builders, taxation and regulatory issues are key concerns, he says, both of which were addressed during the President Trump's first term in ways that favored housing. I think that's a very bold statement here from what's his name, Brad Hunter here. I think it's a very bold statement. I think it's a very true statement here, actually. So builders like deregulation. In fact, he even goes on to say here, and let's dive into it here, he even goes on to say a few other things about how it helps the builders. But before I get to that, I think this whole paragraph that I got highlighted in orange here, I think could be deleted from this. And I hate it when, these authors write these kind of things, but this is just ridiculous. Alex Carrick, chief economist with Contractor Network Construct Connect, adds that Trump's anti-immigration policies have largely stalled the country's population growth, one of the housing market's principal drivers. Democrats would be more open to immigration, especially foreign workers and students, he says, and perhaps an influx of skilled construction labor may also help close the housing supply gap. Are you kidding me? Are you saying that we need to let a bunch of illegal immigrants into the United States to keep housing afloat? Come on. What kind of, just delete that whole, that paragraph. How did that get past the editor? What the, That is the worst paragraph that I think I've ever read. And well, I shouldn't say ever read, but that paragraph has no business in this article whatsoever, in my opinion. But let's go on. I mean, that's why I highlighted in orange, because it kind of made me mad. But highlighted here in green, deregulation. For Republicans then and now, it's about minimizing government involvement in the housing industry to achieve greater access to affordability. Can I get an amen? Please. I've said this for, I can't tell you how many times. If the government would just get out of the way of the American people are resilient, they're hardworking, they are, for the most part, law-abiding citizens and want to do best or do good for the country. So just get out of our way. The more barriers you put in our way, we still overcome them because we are a resilient society, but get out of the way, we can achieve some really, really good things as a society. So I really love that statement. I'm glad he said it, and I'm glad it was in this article here. But he goes on to say here, to that end, Trump signed an executive order on June 25th, 2019, establishing a White House Council on eliminating barriers to affordable housing development. In announcing the council, the White House reiterated NAHB, National Association of Home Builders, estimate that at least 25% of a new home's cost can be attributed to regulations that also contribute to shortage of affordable homes. 25%. Now that's a number, ladies and gentlemen. That is a number. When you can eliminate 25% of your expenses, that's a good thing for any business. I don't care what your business is. So 25% is a big, big number. Now we haven't seen that, come down as far as prices of homes being reduced by 25%, right? They're running a business. They've got shareholders and things to answer to, but them being able to eliminate some of those costs and speed up this process of building a home, we haven't seen that so much because builders still have a bad taste in their mouth from 2008 and 2009. But, it still happened. It's not a bad thing. It's still a good thing that the deregulation actually happened. So let's continue on here because we got a lot to cover. Now, the second paragraph here, Trump has been doing an outstanding job for the housing industry, says Jerry Howard, NAHB's CEO. We saw consistent growth during the first 3 years, quote, end quote. NAHB has tracked Trump's housing-related achievements mostly through executive orders, which reduced or eliminated regulations to the regulations the NAHB deemed detrimental to new home construction or sales. So hey, listen, deregulation has been great for the housing industry, has done some great things for the construction industry. So hats off to Trump there, and the industry is recognizing that, actually. The industry is actually recognizing that. All right, so continuing on. The highlights of those orders include a repeal and replacement of the Obama-era Waters of the United States rule, a reworking of the Clean Power Rule, which deemed rigorous energy codes to threat to housing affordability, the creation of opportunity zones, which that's a big one. The creation of opportunity zones, I don't think he gets a lot of credit for that, but that is a big one. And the streamlining federal environment review and permitting process for building roads, bridges, and infrastructure upon which all home builders and developers rely. Howard says, if Trump is reelected, Howard thinks his second term should focus more on housing affordability via deregulation, continued of that, it's a good theme, with a particular eye toward helping first-time homebuyers through income tax credits for homeownership, a policy favored by NAHB. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. Now, spending, hitting this topic here. 2016 Democratic Party housing platform focused on increasing the supply of affordable housing, preventing predatory lending, and expanding community block grants. This summer, candidate Biden doubled down with several bold investment initiatives that, if enacted, would open the federal government's wallet as rarely before. And if you think they're spending a lot of money now, oh my goodness gracious, holy cow. Biden's planning to invest $640 billion over 10 years so every American has access to housing that is affordable, stable, safe, and healthy, accessible, energy efficient, and resilient. It includes establishing $100 billion affordable housing fund and adding $20 billion to the housing trust fund that Trump seeks to eliminate. I think it's a little bit of a fair dig there, unfair dig, I should say, but hey, to each their own. There's a common theme in this whole section here. Spend $65 billion. Spend, there is absolutely a theme here for the Democratic Party to spend, spend, spend. If you think the deficit under Trump administration is out of control, I don't think we've seen anything yet. So I think it's a bit ridiculous, but hey, that's just me. Now, here's an idea that I'm not, we'll see. We'll see. This isn't necessarily a bad idea. I'll give credit where credit's due. This might be a good idea. Biden also wants to create a rule, a new refundable, advanceable tax credit of up to $15,000 to help families buy their first homes and build equity. Now, that may not be a bad idea, actually. So, if somebody's getting a tax refund, they can take an advance on that tax refund to help them purchase a home up to $15,000. Hey, that may not be a bad idea. The only dilemma there is we got to see some more about this. On the surface, sounds pretty decent. But again, what if that person loses their job? What if they don't get into that home? Don't get that amount of money, and they get into the home, and now they got to repay back the IRS, which is an additional debt, which then forces them to maybe go into foreclosure. So I think there's some details that need to be worked out on this, but it's at least worth a conversation for sure. We do need to help Americans save more money for down payment. I think that's a big hurdle for most first-time home buyers, is the ability to save money to put down on a home. Get off Instagram. But yes, there are some things that the government can do to help encourage home ownership, and I think that might be a good idea as far as that goes. So, all right, so let's continue on here a little bit here. So, number 3, fair housing in suburbia. So President Trump indicated as much in late June. He tweeted his intention to end the 2015 Obama administration initiative known as the Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing, AFFH. I did a video on that. Check that out if you would. That rule requires local governments and their zoning boards seeking HUD funding to fill out 92-question form detailing how they would address the racial disparities. This is President Trump's tweet here. In quotes here, I'm happy to inform all of the people living in the suburban lifestyle dream that you will no longer be bothered or financially hurt by having low-income housing built in your neighborhoods. Can I get another amen, please? Because I love that. Nobody, I don't care who you are, when you buy a house, you do not want Section 8 housing in your backyard. You work really hard to get whatever house it is you buy. The last thing you want is some Section 8 housing that inevitably, and studies have shown, have brought in crime and other riffraff to your neighborhood, and you don't want it. So I don't think that's a bad thing. He's got a lot of criticism on that. I think it was a good move on his part. All right, so those are some of the differences there. Now, the builders like that. They like what President Trump has done and may continue to do. They also like, in all fairness, hey, anybody's going to hand free money to them to help build affordable housing or give them subsidies and things like that, like the Democratic Party wants to do. Hey, they're not going to turn that away, but that's got to be paid. That has got to be paid. Now, I think these things play into the psyche of that Redfin article. That's why I'm sharing them here with you right now. Now, the other thing that I want to share with you is the other part of the psyche that is going on here. And this was a study, or some experts, if you will, were asked. I don't know how they get these experts. They never asked me, but these were some experts that were asked about what they feel the rates would be under each administration. How would rates be affected, mortgage rates? And so let's check those out. All right, so the first one here, Dennis here, real estate analyst, mortgage rate prediction. He's saying under President Trump 3.5%, under Biden 4%. Bruce here, he's saying 2.5% under Trump and about 3% if Biden wins. And then we've got Rick here, he's saying 3.25%. Trump, Biden 3.5%. This guy here, Ryan, can we take the middle road here, buddy? 3.5%, 3.25%, 3.25%. He's not making any predictions at all. I think it's a little bit of a cop-out, in my opinion. There definitely is some differences here, but he's saying basically, hey, look, I don't think the president has any influence on that. That's not true. And then this gentleman here is kind of doing the same thing, 3% for either candidate. This guy's making a pretty bold prediction here. Ryan Fitzgerald here. He's saying under Trump 3.25%, Under Biden, 4%. Big difference there. Big difference in rates there. This guy's getting pretty granular with his prediction here, saying if Trump wins, about 3%, but if Biden wins, 4.1%. That's pretty detailed on that one. And then John Thompson here saying, high 2s, 3s equal for Biden. Now, here's the other one that I wanted to show you here. This is from Chief Economist Daryl. She doesn't look like a Daryl. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly, but sorry if I didn't. She's getting more political here on this here. If Trump wins, less development of affordable housing, and if Biden wins, more development of affordable housing, strengthening of fair housing rules. That's just furthering that FFH or AFFH rule, which is totally bad. It's totally a bad thing, in my opinion. And here's another one that gets kind of political here. Loosening of fair housing rules, less support of affordable housing. That goes with the deregulation that we've seen with President Trump. And then with Biden here, expanded access to affordable housing and aid for renters. I'm not sure what the aid for renters is all about, but, hey, that is there. They're getting a little political there on me on that. But anyway, so long story short here, I think there are some things that the Redfin article does point us in, but I also think there are other things that are affecting people's decisions, such as price, such as interest rates, such as, do I have a job? Am I going to get furloughed? What does my future look like as far as my job? And this is where I've always said, it's all about the economy. You create the jobs and then get out of the way and let people be people, and they will then save, and then they will then purchase homes and do what they need to do to improve their lives. But it starts with jobs. You've got to get the jobs going. That means opening up the economy, getting people back to work on a full-time basis, opening up the schools, letting the parents get back to work and earn the income that they need to earn. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this week's